Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today we're going to talk about a subject that we've talked about before, but never this way. Because all day I can teach you how to make this one ball, and you can learn to do it. But if you need to get position on another ball, which is almost always, then you need to know a little bit more than how to simply make that ball. If we're playing this ball and this ball is up against the rail and we need to get position on the ball that's all the way at the other end of the table, what exactly are you going to do? Well, in this case, I'm going to play with high left-hand English. I'm going to come off of 3 rails. We will get position on this 8 ball, and it's going to be a wrap. If you don't have that shot in your game, what can you do? We're stuck, right? So today I'm going to show you a number of different situations where you need to get position off of a rail shot after making a rail shot to run out. You are not going to need a dynamic stroke for some of these position plays, but some of them you will. This is an example of one where you're probably going to need a pretty good stroke. A lot of you have seen this shot before. I have shown this shot a couple times on the channel, but we have a new twist. So we're playing 8 ball. Our 8 ball's down here. We have the 2 and the 3. You're never going to see this exact configuration, right? But we're going to use it for illustration purposes because we were stupid enough to leave this as our last 2 shots on the table with the 8 ball down here. That in itself would be a mistake. But how are we going to get down here for this 8 ball? We're going to play the 2. We're going to come off of 3 rails. 1, 2, 3, and get position on the 3 ball. After we get position on the 3 ball, we're going to do the same thing to get position on the 8 ball down the other end. It is very much the sister shot to the shot that we opened up with. So it looks like this. We're aiming for the ball and the cushion at the same time. Good follow through. You're going to come off of 3 rails, and if you have your speed right, you'll get something that looks like this. Now we're going to shoot the exact same shot and come down here this time for the 8 ball. It's the side spin that gets this ball around the table and brings it all the way down here. If you don't have the stroke to pull that off, work on your stroke, because a lot of you are just a few practice sessions away from pulling off those shots. That is probably the most difficult shot you're going to see today, other than some of those shots that involve draw. But practice that and build into it. We have a number of videos that teach you how to use English going around the table and multi-rail position. Let's look at something else. Let me answer a couple questions that you have before you ask them. Where am I hitting this ball? If I'm shooting this 4 ball and it is on the rail, I am aiming for the ball and the cushion. Well, where are you aiming when you use English, Bryan? I'm aiming for the ball and the cushion. If I'm making an adjustment subconsciously, I can't teach you that. And anybody that tells you, well, your cue ball with right-hand English is going to deflect, so you need to play it here if you want to hit that ball in that cushion, they mean well. But the reality is, if your cue has more deflection than somebody else's cue, they cannot tell you where to hit that ball, where to aim in order to hit the ball in the cushion. If your cue is not going straight, if you're putting more English, if you have a different speed, any of those things changes where you're aiming. So you learn where to aim these shots with English by putting in reps with those shots, because this shaft is one of the lowest deflection shafts on earth. And if you have a high deflection shaft, for example, I have a cue in that case, I can't even play with these days because it's such high deflection. You need to make different adjustments than somebody else might need to make. Next, understand that anytime a ball is coming off the rail, anytime the cue ball is coming off the rail, things are going to happen differently than what you might expect. If I line these balls up relatively straight, my cue ball is not going to come down and land in this spot. Now, if you take this ball off the rail just a tiny bit and keep the exact same angle, yes, my cue ball will come down here. I can get on the short side of that 3 and play it there. But if I have this angle, it's really exaggerated. I'm not coming down and landing in this area. I'm going to cross over past that 3 ball, and everything is going to happen at a faster pace than you anticipate. Let's take a look at the position for this shot. We're playing the 4 ball, the purple 4, because the 4 should be purple, and we're going to come over here to get on that 3 ball so that we can play this. But I want you to see just what's happening to the cue ball. If this ball was off the rail a little bit, a lot of different things would happen than what you're about to see. But if I play this and hit the ball in the cushion, look at the angle that we picked up there. That is extreme versus what you would be looking for, again, if I took those balls off the rail. So recognize that extreme things are going to happen when the balls are on the rail and you're shooting the shot. 1 inch off the rail, different rules than if the ball is touching the rail. Let's look at something else. This is the reason so many players, league night, how many guys get down to the 8 ball and they're not in position on the 8? Because they know how to make the 3 and they know how to get on the 5 potentially, but they didn't anticipate the fact that they have to play this 8, and in order to get on this 8, I need to be relatively straight on the 5. I can't just make the 3 and hope that I'm going to land on this 8 after making the 5. 3 balls ahead. Picture what your balls are going to have to do. Play it backwards if you need to, but anticipate the position that you need in order to be on this 5 in a way that you can still get on this 8. So let's take a look at a couple scenarios that can happen here. Give this to an APA 6. Yes, I'm picking on the 6s now. And they're going to play this with high right-hand English so that they can come over and get nice and straight on this 5 ball. And they might not be all that wrong. Give it to a 7. And I'm thinking he might do something different. He might play it without the English and simply put himself as much on this side as he needs to be to get on this 8. Now, why would the 6 use the English and the 7 not use the English? Let me show you. This is the shot with high right-hand English. Look how good I am on this 5, right? Not exactly the same shot because I don't use little reinforcements to put the balls exactly where they are, but very similar, similar enough. This is the shot without the English. Our 3 ball is on the rail, it is frozen. This is just follow. Look at that. Look at the position that we get without the English. So let me ask you the question. Because if I give this layout to my 6s, guess what they do? High right-hand English. They're going to come over here, right? I give it to my 7s. Maybe some throw in high right-hand English to get over here. But the more experienced ones shoot this shot with no English. Why? First off, we get a very similar position, and I've eliminated an extreme level of the difficulty. I went from difficulty 8 for the first shot to difficulty 5 for the same position. Stop using English on these shots when you don't need it. Don't do more than you need to do. If you watch this channel, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. If you have this shot in your game, you've got a zillion other shots. All right, let's say a couple hundred other shots. This is the shot. This is the shot we opened with. We came off of 3 rails to get on the 8 ball, right? This time we're going to come off of 3 rails to get on the 8 ball, but it's on the opposite side of the table. Let's take a look. High right-hand English. We come around, we get on our 8, just past the 11. How cool is that? And we're on an 8 ball. Now, you are not going to have to shoot that shot very often to get on a ball that's there to get down here. And if you watch my videos on playing 8-ball, hopefully you know better than to leave that as your last shot to have to get down here. But sometimes other people leave you down there, right? You don't always get to decide where the cue ball is going to be when it's your turn to shoot. So why is this shot so powerful? Let's take a look. Our object ball was here, which is a lot more difficult than if it is here. But let's say it was there. Our cue ball was here. Our cue ball came off here with right-hand English and came off of here. And then it came off here and went just past that 11. Now, let me ask you something. What if my 8-ball's here? What if my 8-ball was here? My 8-ball was here. My 8-ball's on this side of the pocket. Same shot. Same shot. I put the cue ball here. I'm on the 8. Remember earlier, second ball could be right there. I'm on the shot. Learn these multi-rail shots for position, especially off the rail, and you will have a ton of other shots. While we're looking at all of these rail to rail to rail shots, and we're talking about long rail off of 2 other rails and getting down table, this is one of the most dreaded situations. Give this to a lot of players on league night. They're never getting from that 5 to this 8. That's a run killer for a lot of players to get on this 8-ball. And it's ridiculous because the solution is pretty simple. Let's take a look. High right-hand English. We come off of these 2 rails and we come down here for the 8. I'm not going to hit it hard. It's not a difficult shot. We can shoot it all day and night and come down here and get on the 8. Now we have a crowded table. Different things happen when the table's crowded, right? But even if I ran into that 12-ball and got stopped, and again, you're not going to have this same configuration, I still would have been okay. Let's take a look again. Cue ball's here. We're almost straight this time. The only thing that's going to be different is the trajectory of the ball when we get down table. High right-hand English. Not a difficult shot at all. We're still going to have a shot on this 8-ball. We didn't want to hit it too hard because then what happens? We move right in line with it, don't we? Exactly. That's the whole point. We can hit it hard, and we move in line with this shot. We hit it soft, we fall short. Be more aggressive with some of these positions, okay? I know you've overshot a lot of balls in your life and all of this, but if you know that this ball is going to come off of 3 rails, bounce on this rail last, and shoot a target-rich 8-ball, you can be more aggressive. This is what I like to call the parallel ball problem. We're on the 4. We need to get on the 8. They're exactly across from each other. That's a problem. Unless they're exactly across from each other in front of the side pockets, it's almost always a problem. Why? Because you have to do something good to get from that 4 to the 8. Let's see what something good might look like. Just enough draw to get on this side of the 8, but not so much draw that I scratch in this side pocket. I could not go forward because if I came off of these rails like we've been looking at going forward, I either run into the 8, totally miss it, or come off the rail and end up with a really wide, difficult shot. Parallel ball problem is a legitimate problem. Be prepared for it. Know what you're going to do. Anytime you can go forward, you want to go forward. Shooting that shot with draw, you've got to be pretty much perfect. If you don't put draw on it and you stun it, it's going to come straight across like you saw earlier, and it's going to run into the 8, and that is not going to win the game for you. If you have this shot in your game, you're an advanced player, by the way. But it is going to take you quite a few reps to get it in your game. Let's talk about what's happening when I shoot this shot. First off, my cue ball has to go, let's call it 4 feet down table, with backspin and side spin that does not wear off when it gets here, so that there's enough backspin and side spin that when I hit this ball going in the wrong direction, the cue ball comes off of here and heads this way. All of that has to happen. How do you make that happen? You got to hit it super low and super left in this case. I can almost anticipate your question. If low left-hand English brings me down here and puts me in this zone, what does low right-hand English do? Being in this zone doesn't help me make this 8-ball. But being over here does. And I can't go forward, which would be my first choice, and come off of 3 rails and get down here. But if I play this with low left and come in here, that's no good either. So, low right-hand English, hit very well, comes off of this rail, and spins its way down table to get on this 8-ball. Not an easy shot, guys. But if you pull it off, the shot's going to look like this. Bunch of right-hand English. That thing is beautiful. Now, I'm not going to make that 100% of the time. It's an extremely difficult shot. But if I don't have any other way to get there, I don't mind playing that. And if you're on a 7-foot table or even an 8-foot table, or you have larger pockets, you're going to have a lot more success with that shot. But it is far more difficult than the earlier shot. So you definitely need to put in some work if you're going to be playing that shot. And if you hit it anything less than perfect, you're just simply not going to make it. I gave you a taste of some of the things that you can do as far as position and rail shots, and what puts the ball in the pocket and what doesn't put it in the pocket, and what puts you where on the table, and all the things that you can do as you move around the table. And guess what? There's still a bunch of stuff left. We can't cover it all in this video. But if you get the shots down that we talked about today, you're going to be able to do a lot of things. So keep them in mind. Hit me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribing, the joke is on you, because guess who is? Everybody else, all joking aside. It's good for the channel, and it's good for you because it encourages us to make more videos like this that you get to see for free.